everybody. Welcome back for the second half of tonight's Rwl Rage in Raleigh. Christy Ogilvy here, with Myron Schimmelman and handsome Don Hickson with the call of the matches. And let's talk about what's coming up, gang. We've got Cruiserweight Champion Gary Galaxy versus Eddie Guerrero starting us off. The TV Tag Champion Southern Gentlemen, Matt Clark and Rod Whitley are in the house, and so are the Ladies Tag Trio Champions Les Femmes Fatales. And in the main event, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff takes a second shot at Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Mid-Atlantic title. Yeah people, all that, and a little more, so hang out, cause it's gonna be a good time.
Right you are, Christy, and as stated, we begin with Cruiserweight competition with Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, set to go against Gary Galaxy, the RWL Cruiserweight Champion, accompanied by manageress Sylvia Strong.
Welcome back. Our second half opening match, scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle from El Paso, Texas, weighing in at 227 pounds, here is Eddie Guerrero.
You know, guys, there's a lot of popular stars in pro wrestling, but Eddie Guerrero here, he's got the distinction of being one of the most loved wrestling superstars ever.
That's a fact. If ever there was one, Myron, he's competed all over the world against some of the biggest names in the business. Eddie Guerrero remains one of the top stars in pro wrestling today.
And you can add on to that, he's one star that Gary Galaxy would love to pick up a win over. Whether it's a pin or a submission, our Cruiserweight Champion is on something of a personal best kind of thing tonight.
The RWL Cruiserweight Champion Gary Galaxy definitely on something of a personal mission tonight to pick up a win over Latino Heat.
Have you guys noticed how focused Gary Galaxy's been since winning the Cruiserweight title this last time?
Yeah, a little bit.
There's just been something different about Double G, and I'm not sure if it's Gary himself, Sylvia's influence, or both. But Gary's taken it up a notch lately.
His opponent, along with Sylvia Strong, from Chesapeake, Virginia, weighing in at 198 pounds, the RWL Cruiserweight Champion, the prototype, Gary Galaxy.
At one time, the reluctant Snarl Television Champion. Now he's a full-bore superstar, the prototype Gary Galaxy. Embracing the role, along with Sylvia Strong, his manageress. And yes sir, Gary Galaxy. Multi-time Cruiserweight Champion, multi-time Snarl Television Champion, and at one time holding both titles at the same time.
He's finally jumped into the role with both boots. Now this match with Eddie Guerrero, him and Gary have knocked heads before, but Gary really wants a solid win over Eddie Guerrero, something he hasn't been able to achieve just yet. Well, maybe tonight will be his night. Let's find out.
In the past, he's had huge rivalries with SP1 Scotty Priest and Tony Dangerous, but this one's something special for Gary Galaxy. Referee Walt Rothburn sounds the bell. Gary charges, collides with Guerrero. A chop across the chest puts Eddie Guerrero in the far corner. Eddie counters and escapes the corner, locks up Gary Galaxy. A kick to the midsection, followed up with a DDT. And down goes the Cruiserweight Champion. Whoa! Double boot stomp missed. Drop kick missed. Two missed opportunities here. Eddie Guerrero with a fast chop block takes Gary Galaxy down to the canvas. Gary counters with a kick to the head. Gary with a kick. Whoa, Eddie Guerrero putting the brakes on quick. Locks up Gary Galaxy, has him up in a front cradle. Escorts him to the corner, smashes his back into the turnbuckle and pitches him out center ring. Double boot stomp finds the mark that time. Gary Galaxy rounded up by Eddie Guerrero. A series of chops across the chest. Gary Galaxy reeling. A kick to the midsection again. Guerrero sets him up over the shoulders. Look at this. This modified crucifix stretch, a possible submission here. Gary Galaxy says, no you don't. Turns it into an arm drag and escapes the hold. The prototype delivers the kick, rebounds off the middle rope. Flying kick to the back of the head of Eddie Guerrero. Eddie rolls off for a quick reset. Doesn't look like he was expecting that. Gary Galaxy joins him on the outside. Snapmare from Eddie Guerrero, followed up with a grind of the boot into the face. Gary Galaxy counters with a kick. Eddie Guerrero with a series of shots. Backs Gary Galaxy up towards the barricades. Gary counters. Guerrero counters. They lock up again. Another hard shot from Eddie Guerrero. And another. Gary Galaxy seriously on the defensive here, taken down to the floor. As referee Walt Rothburn continues the count. An elbow across the leg of Gary Galaxy, courtesy of Eddie Guerrero. Latino Heat with a little Three Stooges action, but countered by Gary Galaxy. Whoa! A drop kick right to the side of the head from the Prototype. Gary Galaxy catches a kick to the midsection. Eddie Guerrero's decided he's had enough. Takes himself back inside the ring. And here comes Gary Galaxy. Eddie Guerrero right there to greet him. Whips him to the ropes. Leapfrogs it. Ducks under. And here, whoa! Beautiful flying elbow. Eddie Guerrero quickly covers. 1, 2. A near fall, but Gary Galaxy powering out of the pin with authority. Eddie Guerrero winds up the arm. Snaps it. Gary Galaxy in all kinds of pain at the moment. Look at this quick, beautiful inverted Hurricanrana counter from Gary Galaxy. Eddie Guerrero counters with one of his own. Wow, these guys, these cruiserweights, absolutely amazing. Eddie Guerrero. Whoa, Gary Galaxy rolls out of the way. Eddie Guerrero countered by Gary Galaxy. They lock up again. A double chop from Gary. Whoa, drives a knee right into the head of Latino Heat. And a beautiful moonsault on the outside as again the referee begins the count. Eddie Guerrero catching a whole bunch of shots. And whoa, slammed face first into the floor by Gary Galaxy. Eddie Guerrero counters. They lock up again. Guerrero rolls back inside the ring. Here comes Gary off the top rope. Beautiful missile dropkick from the Prototype. Sylvia Strong watching her fellow go to work here. Gary Galaxy. Whoa! Drives both knees into the back of Eddie Guerrero. Guerrero counters back up on his feet. As Gary Galaxy, oh my, stomping the hands and fingers of Gary Galaxy. Gary counters, gets himself out of that precarious situation. Galaxy drives a knee into the arm of Eddie Guerrero. And he does it yet again. Gary Galaxy regaining control of the matchup, at least for the moment. Currently twisting the head and neck of Eddie Guerrero. Slams his head down to the canvas. Gary Galaxy really starting to show out here. Here's another knee into the arm of Eddie Guerrero, much to the delight of Sylvia Strong. Gary Galaxy goes right back to work on Latino Heat, keeping him grounded center ring. Slams his head down to the canvas again. A hard kick to the back. The Cruiserweight champion. A spin kick to the side of the head. Eddie Guerrero absolutely reeling. Gary Galaxy all the way up off the top rope. Whoa, did you see that beautiful splash? Here's a cover with a hook of the leg. 1, 2, 3, and Gary Galaxy has done it, defeating Eddie Guerrero by pinfall.
Here's the time, 5 minutes and 7 seconds. Your winner, Gary Galaxy.
You know, Christy, I've taken a real liking to Gary Galaxy. Not only is he a nice guy, but he went out there. He wanted that win over Eddie Guerrero, and damned if he didn't go out there and get it.
It's a win on all fronts then. Gary's achieved an important personal goal, so he's happy. Sylvia Strong is happy. And the fans? They're not doing so bad either. Solid cruiserweight matchup.
We'll be back with more right after this. Up next, a 6-woman tag of some interest as Dakota Kai joins forces with the already aligned Blair Davenport and Carmella, facing the RWL Ladies Tag Trio Champions Mimi Emerson, Jet Williams, and Dynamite Teenie Parker, Les Femmes Fatales.
The following non-title 6-woman tag team match, scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first, from Staten Island, New York, Carmella, from Wellington, New Zealand, Blair Davenport, and from Auckland, New Zealand, Dakota Kai.
I see you both looking at me as if you have questions. Let me explain. It's very simple. Dakota Kai's the newest. Carmella and Blair Davenport are already aligned. It was a natural. As far as putting them against the Ladies Tag Trio Champions, it's a non-title match. There's no pressure. But imagine if they won.
I seriously love the way you think, Myron.
Thank
But
you.
it would take a talking cow miracle for them to get a win over Les Femmes. It's just not gonna happen for them.
Well, in that case, no harm done, right?
Their opponents, from Washington, D.C., Jet Williams, from Raleigh, North Carolina, Goddess Mimi Emerson, and from Richmond, Virginia, Dynamite Jeannie Parker, the RWL Ladies Tag Trio Champions, Les Femmes Fatales.
Mimi Emerson putting in a hometown appearance, along with Jet Williams and the Women's World Champion Dynamite Jeannie Parker, Les Femmes Fatales, in a 6-woman tag tonight, going up against these 3 WWE expatriates.
I just thought we needed a 6-woman tag to, spice things up a little bit.
Well, Jet, Mimi, and Jeannie have defended their titles recently, and they'll be defending the ladies' tag trio belts at the Memorial Day card on the 26th, so it's just kinda cool, seeing Les Femmes in a non-title 6, and yeah, Myron. It's actually a pretty cool setup.
Well, thank you very much.
And it is certainly a rare treat to see all 3 members of Les Femmes Fatales in 6-woman tag action.
Like I said, spice things up.
Well, it seems you certainly have achieved the goal, Myron. All right, it is going to be Dakota Kai, the newest member first, going up against Goddess Mimi Emerson as we begin this 6-woman tag. Walt Rothburn sounds the bell. Mimi Emerson off the middle rope, flying fist. Takes Dakota Kai down. Mimi Emerson moves in, hard forearm. Drops Dakota Kai a second time. Here comes the Women's World Champion Dynamite Jeannie Parker. Dakota Kai. Well, look at that. Jeannie Parker kind of missing the move there. And here comes Carmella. Jeannie Parker moves in, a kick, a right. And she's setting up something here. Here we go. Chicken wing suplex. That sends Carmella flying. And here comes Mimi Emerson again. Carmella locks up with Mimi. Mimi whips her over off the top rope and onto the apron. And Enziguri takes her down to the floor. Carmella on the outside and on the wrong side of town. And look at this, Mimi Emerson taking it to Dakota Kai with a 10 series of punches across the chest. Blair Davenport just looking on helplessly. Carmella returns to the ring. Locks up with Mimi Emerson. Mimi delivers elbows to the midsection. Backs off Carmella. Carmella counters with the right. And another. Stunning Mimi Emerson. Mimi counters with elbows to the midsection as well. Mimi Emerson countered again by Carmella. Carmella goes behind, slams Mimi Emerson's head to the canvas. Carmella rounds her up again. They lock up. Oh my, look at this. Whoa! A nasty inverted DDT from Carmella. A kick, a low kick, and then a kick to the head, taking Mimi Emerson down to the mat again. Carmella out most aggressively here. Head first into the turnbuckle goes Mimi Emerson. Here comes Blair Davenport on the tag, and here comes a double team. Mimi whipped to the ropes and a back body drop as Blair Davenport assumes control for her team. Wrist clutch stomps to the head to Mimi Emerson. Blair Davenport, with something of a reputation as something of a mean girl, slam face first to the canvas by Mimi Emerson. Here's the cover. 1, 2. But Blair Davenport powering out of the pin. Mimi Emerson gathers her up again. A hard right spins Blair Davenport around. She counters with an elbow and whoa! Tried for a running kick, but Mimi Emerson deftly dodging out of the way. Mimi locks up Blair Davenport. Escorting towards the Les Femmes corner, head first into the turnbuckle goes Blair Davenport. Here comes Jeannie Parker, and here comes a double team from Les Femmes Fatales. Blair Davenport whipped to the ropes. A retaliatory back body drop as Jeannie Parker takes control of things here. Jeannie misses with her move. Blair Davenport about to, slammed her down hard and goes for a cover. But Mimi Emerson right there to break up the pin. Dakota Kai steps back out after stepping in. Blair Davenport escorts Jeannie to her team's corner. Here comes Carmella, and a double team. Jeannie whipped to the ropes. Whoa, look at this. Nice tandem move. Jeannie Parker slammed face first into the canvas by Carmella. Carmella rounds her up again. Another kick. Takes down the women's world champion. Carmella going for a cover. One. But again, Mimi Emerson saving the match for her team. Carmella returns to work on Jeannie Parker. Jeannie Parker shoves her away and takes a step out here. And again, here comes Mimi Emerson. Jet Williams yet to heavily participate in this match. Kick to the midsection. Carmella goes behind on Mimi. Whips her to the ropes. An elbow takes Mimi down. Carmella goes after Jeannie Parker. Carmella catches a knee to the head from Goddess Mimi Emerson. Mimi locks her up. Escorts her to the Leigh Femmes corner. Head first into the turnbuckle. Here comes Jet Williams. And here's a double. Whoa! Hard shot to the midsection from Jet as she participates in the match for the first time. Kick to the midsection. Locks up Carmella. Whips her to the ropes. Goes behind. Whoa! Folded her in half with that suplex. Jet Williams locks in a heel hook stretch on Carmella. Center ring. Releases the hold. Jet Williams goes right back in and goes back for it again. Stretching the leg at an inhuman angle. Jet Williams with a kick to the leg as well. Jet covers. One. Carmella powers out of the pin. Jet Williams waiting, stalking Carmella. Walks her up middle of the ring. Sets it up. But whoa! Quick counter into a pin. Jeannie Parker right there to break that up before the ref could even count it. Jet Williams saves Jeannie Parker from Carmella. Takes down Carmella. Center ring. And here comes Mimi Emerson again as Blair Davenport takes over for her team. Jet Williams continuing to work on Carmella as Mimi Emerson goes to work on Blair Davenport, who rolls to the outside. Jet Williams over the top. Whoa, man! Over the top rope, a human missile on Blair Davenport. Target sighted, snag save. Jet Williams with a cravat suplex on Blair Davenport on the outside as the referee counts. An enziguri from Mimi Emerson. Blair Davenport rolled back inside the ring. Mimi countered by Blair Davenport. Blair with a right. Mimi with a kick. A hard right spins Blair Davenport around, up over the shoulders of Mimi Emerson. And a knee, a GTS right to the skull. Here's a cover. 1, 2, but Carmella taking out the referee at the same time here. And Walt Rothburn caught a nasty one. Mimi Emerson shoves Carmella aside, whips her to the ropes and to the outside, returns her attention to Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport counters with a shot to the midsection. The referee just about recovered here. Blair Davenport out on the apron. Mimi Emerson crawls her way over, and here comes Jet Williams. Jet locks up, kick to the midsection of Blair Davenport. Oh, here we go. Jet Williams and this tombstone stretch submission. And she's won a couple of matches with this one. Dakota Kai breaks up the submission. Jet Williams taking Dakota Kai towards the ropes. Dakota Kai counters with elbows. Blair Davenport is still laid out. Carmella just about returned to her team's corner. Here comes Dynamite Jeannie Parker with Blair Davenport laid out motionless center ring. The women's world champion rounds her up. A kick to the midsection. Whoa, look at this. Oh, and into a submission. She has got her twisted all kinds of ways. Blair Davenport says that is enough. Les Femmes Fatales. Jeannie Parker still going after Carmella too. Les Femmes Fatales win this one by submission.
Here's the time. Exactly 8 minutes. Your winners by tap out. Les Femmes Fatales.
Les Femmes just have to be the most efficient tag trio going around here. The frequent tags and every member doing their part, with Jet and Mimi softening up their opponents, with Jeannie Dynamite moving in to wrap it all up with a tap-out win. I sure hope they can do this in a few weeks with the ladies' tag trio belts on the line. Les Femmes chalking up another W.
A big-time W over Carmella, Blair Davenport, and Dakota Kai when we return. Best of the West. After this. Coming up next on RWL Rage Tag Team Action with Mad Dog X and the Black Sinister, the X-Clan, set to go up against Jim Dandy Deacons and the RWL Mid-South Champion Billy White Moon, Best of the West.
The next tag team match is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle at a combined weight of 363 pounds, from Newark, New Jersey, and over 400 years of oppression, Mad Dog X, the Black Sinister, the X-Clan.
X-Clan going it alone tonight without No Rules champion Magic at ringside. Mad Dog X and the Black Sinister all set and primed to go in this 2-on-2 matchup against Jim Dandy Deacons and Billy White Moon from Best of the West.
And I don't have to tell you, there's some friction building between the X-Clan and Best of the West. These two teams really don't like each other very much.
There certainly has been mounting tension between Mad Dog X and the Black Sinister and the members of Best of the West, Billy White Moon, Jim Dandy Deacons, and of course the Lone Star Superstar Tex McKenzie.
Their opponents along with the Lone Star Superstar Tex McKenzie, and at a combined weight of 526 pounds, from Houston, Texas, Jim Dandy Deacons, and from Norman, Oklahoma, the RWL Mid-South Champion Billy White Moon, Best of the West.
Now, I've got lots of respect for X-Clan, but their animosity towards Best of the West? That just stems from their success, and a lack of success on the part of X-Clan. I'm really big on accountability, but X-Clan would do better, trying to be better, instead of just bad-mouthing Best of the West, just cause they happen to be doing a little better.
Well, all right, as we begin, it's going to be Black Sinister and Billy White Moon starting us off here. And this tag team matchup, Willie Johnson sounds the bell. They come center ring. White Moon locks it up with Sinister, shoves him down. Whoa! Sinister rolls back up to a standing position, misses with the dropkick, counters with a kick to White Moon. Another standing dropkick fails to find the mark. Sinister counters again, fails to connect with the Hurricane Rana. Nails White Moon with a right. White Moon counters with an elbow and takes down the Black Sinister. Sinister blocks the kick, counters into a dragon screw. A kick to the chest to Billy White Moon. White Moon gathered up to his feet again. Sinister whips him to X-Clan's corner. White Moon counters out forcefully. Sinister whips him right back in again. White Moon refusing to stay in the X-Clan's corner. Counter whips Sinister to his team's corner. And here comes Jim Dandy Deacons, and here comes a double team from Best of the West. Double knees to the back for the Black Sinister as Jim Dandy Deacons assumes control of the match for his team. Drives an elbow into the head of the Black Sinister. Look at this, Jim Dandy Deacons with that inimitable, unusual style of his. A stomp to the chest. Jim Dandy with a stomp to the shoulder of the Black Sinister. Followed up with a stomp to the midsection. Jim Dandy Deacons driving a knee into the back of the Black Sinister. Sinister counters with a pretty good arm drag. Moves in on Jim Dandy, tries for the Hurricane Rana, turns it into a powerbomb. Jim Dandy Deacons lit up this evening. Jim rounds up the Black Sinister. Inverted atomic drop right in the store. Down goes Black Sinister. Jim Dandy with a butt bump to the lower back. Jim Dandy Deacons dragging him closer and closer to the Best of the West corner. And here comes Billy White Moon, the Mid-South champion. White Moon rounds up Sinister. Sinister counters with a knee to the head, takes down Jim Dandy, and he is beating it out of town in a hurry. Here comes Mad Dog X. X moves in, misses with the fist. White Moon with a spinning kick takes down Mad Dog X. A stomp to the midsection. White Moon countered with an arm drag. Mad Dog X moves in on White Moon. White Moon counters with a kick to the midsection. Mad Dog X countering with kicks to the leg of Billy White Moon. White Moon whipped towards X-Clan's corner. White Moon quickly dodging out, Olay out of the way. Mad Dog X countering with a jawbreaker. Fails to connect with the drop kick. White Moon gathers him up again. Lines up the arm of Mad Dog X. X, with a series of shots to the midsection, breaks up the top wrist lock. Locks up White Moon. White Moon again escorted towards X-Clan's corner, head first into the turnbuckle. But again, Billy White Moon absolutely refusing to stay in X-Clan's corner. Outside on the apron, White Moon counters with a right. Mad Dog X gathered up by Billy White Moon. Now being escorted towards the Best of the West corner. But Mad Dog X also refusing the invitation. Elbows to the midsection for Billy White Moon. White Moon whips Mad Dog X to the corner. X counters. Black Sinister trying to get in. Willie Johnson advising him not to do that. Whipped into the X-Clan's corner. Down goes Billy White Moon. Mad Dog X with a series of stomps to the back of the Mid-South champion. Billy White Moon gathered up by Mad Dog X. A quick counter and a forearm from White Moon. A counter from Mad Dog X and a kick to the leg. Whoa! What a Hurricane Rana right there from Mad Dog X. And a flip over neck whip to Billy White Moon. White Moon laid out just about center ring. Quickly counters with a kick, takes down Mad Dog X. White Moon rounds him up. Whips him to the Best of the West corner. And oh boy, here we go. It is boot party time as Billy White Moon starts things off. There's a blind tag from Jim Dandy Deacons. It's his turn. And now here we go again. Another blind tag. Tex McKenzie taking in the whole thing as Mad Dog X is the victim of a boot party at the hands of Best of the West. Here's the whip. There's another drop kick and out rolls Mad Dog X to the center of the ring. Jim Dandy Deacons rolls him over. Goes for the cover. 1, 2, and no. Mad Dog X finds his way out of the pin. X drives a knee into the head of Jim Dandy Deacons. Deacons gathered up again. Mad Dog X. Whoa! What a driver from Mad Dog X. Follows up with a stomp to the midsection. Jim Dandy Deacons whips X towards the ropes. A back body drop for Mad Dog X. A kick to the back from Jim Dandy Deacons. Deacons counters again and a shoulder tackle, taking Mad Dog X down to the canvas. Jim Dandy Deacons rallying the crowd here in Raleigh. Rolls over Mad Dog X. A leg snap by Jim Dandy. Dandy rounds him up again. Oh, here we go. A series of short left jabs. A little fancy footwork and boom! Double shot to the chest. Down goes Mad Dog X. Jim Dandy Deacons certainly on a roll this evening. Whips Mad Dog X to the Best of the West corner. Uh-oh, here we go. Mad Dog X about to go for a 10-foot drop at the hands of Jim Dandy Deacons. And here it goes. Whoa! Mad Dog X is absolutely laid out. Jim Dandy Deacons slowly gathers him up again. Mad Dog X snaps out of it. Delivers a couple of elbows to the head of Jim Dandy. Jim Dandy counters with a kick to the leg. Deacons countered by Mad Dog X with a kick to the midsection. Deacons counters. A shoulder tackle takes Mad Dog X down. Here we go again. Jim Dandy Deacons doing quite a bit of showing off here this evening. The referee continues to count. Mad Dog X counters with a kick to the leg of Jim Dandy. A forearm. A fireman's carry from Deacons. A hard right from Deacons. Whoa! Mad Dog X putting the brakes on the attack of Jim Dandy right there. Jim Dandy counters again. Another shoulder tackle. Finds Mad Dog X down on the floor. Mad Dog X with a counter kick to Jim Dandy finally gets him back inside the ring. The referee breaks the count. Mad Dog X gathers up Jim Dandy Deacons. Oh man, what a clothesline from Jim Dandy. A chop that takes down Mad Dog X. A A stomp to the midsection. And again, Jim Dandy driving all his weight into the lower back of Mad Dog X, who is desperately trying to reach the Black Sinister. Jim Dandy Deacons with the prevent drags in close to Best of the West corner. And here comes Billy White Moon on the tag, and here we go. Billy White Moon on the warpath here. Here's a clothesline. Here's a second. Swing and a miss. And down goes Mad Dog X. Jim Dandy Deacons watching as Billy White Moon winds it up, and there's a hard right that takes Mad Dog X down to the canvas. X McKenzie with words of advice to Billy White Moon here. Here we go again. White Moon makes his way to the top turnbuckle with Mad Dog X in tow. And he's going to go for another ride, and boom, there it is. Another 10-foot up, 10-foot down top rope superplex, courtesy of Billy White Moon, the Mid-South champion. Mad Dog X counters with an uppercut. Sets up for the Hurricane Rana, but it winds up being a powerbomb at the hands of Billy White Moon. White Moon gathers up Mad Dog X at an elbow, a forearm, and another hard shot to the back, another forearm, and yet another. Billy White Moon absolutely relentless here. Smashes the head of Mad Dog X into the apron. White Moon rounds him up again. Has him up over the shoulder, but whoa, quick counter, inverted DDT from Mad Dog X. As referee Willie Johnson continues to try to get them back inside the ring. There's another forearm from Mad Dog X to White Moon. White Moon rounded up again. Another Hurricane Rana. This time he nails it. And Billy White Moon caught all of it. Oh, look at this. Whoa. What in the hell was that? That was magnificent. It was like Jim Dandy Deacons has seen quite enough. Rolls Mad Dog X back inside the ring. Billy White Moon finally shaking it off. Makes his way back inside. Rolled up by Mad Dog. Look at this. And turns it into a powerbomb too. Mad Dog X gathering Billy White Moon towards center ring. Going for a cover here. One. But Jim Dandy Deacons right there to break up the pin. Deacons catches a Hurricane Rana from Mad Dog X. And Jim Dandy's beating it out of town. Mad Dog X returns his attention to Billy White Moon struggling to get to his feet. X rounds him up. There's a clothesline. There's a second. A rebound off the ropes from X. And a beautiful flying kick, taking Billy White Moon down to the canvas. Mad Dog X rounded up a shoulder tackle from White Moon. White Moon back on the attack again. Delivers a stomp to the shoulder of Mad Dog X. Billy White Moon countered with a jawbreaker from X. Whoa, what a driver from Mad Dog X. Slamming Billy White Moon hard. White Moon whipped into X-Clan's corner. And in retaliation, here comes a boot party at the hands of the X-Clan for Billy White Moon. There's a blind tag. The Black Sinister makes his way inside. Starts going to work on White Moon. There's another tag. Mad Dog X moves in. It's his turn. Billy White Moon in all kinds of pain. And here comes the coup de grace. The whip, the drop. Oh, man. Billy White Moon rolls out center ring. The X-Clan gathering, going for a cover here. 1, 2, but again, Jim Dandy Deacons breaks up the pin. Slammed down to the canvas. The Black Sinister, now the legal man in the ring, whips White Moon to the far corner. Slams him out of the corner. Sinister. Whoa, what a move. There's a rebound off the ropes and a beautiful crossbody. And a wheelbarrow bulldog to close it out. What a combination from the Black Sinister of the X-Clan. X-Clan in control now. Kicks White Moon to the temple. Takes him down, rounds him up again. Black Sinister whipped out over onto the apron. Billy White Moon delivers a hard lift. Takes himself out onto the apron with Sinister. And slams him into the lip of the apron. Mad Dog X with a Hurricane Rana on Billy White Moon on the outside. The referee counting Billy White Moon. Black Sinister also laid out on the outside. No sign of Jim Dandy Deacons. The referee continuing to count as both men try to get to their feet. Sinister with a stomp to the head. And a little bit of showing off. There's Jim Dandy. White Moon whipped back inside the ring, quickly back up on his feet. Black Sinister whips into the X-Clan's corner. Again, White Moon counters and escapes the corner. Counter whips Black Sinister to the Best of the West corner. Black Sinister counters and escapes. White Moon goes behind, hard right hand to the back of the head. Billy White Moon again whipped to the X-Clan's corner. And he definitely doesn't want any more after that boot party. Counter whips Black Sinister to his team's corner. Sinister again countering with a kick. White Moon counter slams him down to the canvas. And Billy White Moon going for a single leg crab. Sinister trying to reach the ropes here. But that's it. Black Sinister finds his way out of the hold and escapes. Rounds up Billy White Moon. Again whipped to X-Clan's corner. A drop kick to Billy White Moon, who staggers out of the corner. Counter whips Black Sinister to the Best of the West corner. Again, Black Sinister counters and escapes. A hard right to the back of the head of Billy White Moon. Now White Moon again being escorted towards X-Clan's corner. There's a snapmare, a kick towards the back. White Moon stands himself back on up. Whips Black Sinister to the Best of the West corner again. But this time there's no escape. Here comes Jim Dandy Deacons. Here comes a double team, a flip over neck whip and a kick to the back. As Jim Dandy assumes control, here comes Mad Dog X on the tag. Mad Dog X with a kick to the midsection from Jim Dandy. Counters Jim Dandy with a hard right. An enziguri style kick to the head. A clothesline to the back of the head of Jim Dandy Deacons, and down he goes. Deacons in trouble here. Whoa! Excellent fireman's carry. Jim Dandy again doing all that, showing off that he does so well. Jim Dandy Deacons with Mad Dog X basically at his mercy. He shakes it off. Whoa, there's a clothesline. There's a second one. Jim Dandy Deacons rebounds off the rope. A third clothesline takes Mad Dog X down to the canvas. And boom, there's an elbow right across the chest. And that could be the end right there. Jim Dandy going for the cover, hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. No sign of Black Sinister to the rescue as Best of the West defeats X-Clan by pinfall.
Here's the time, 15 minutes and 19 seconds. Your winners, Best of the West.
All right, so I didn't see a long, protracted battle in the cards. But that's what Best of the West gave us, along with X-Clan. And I think we just saw the very best match of the whole night right here. Jim Dandy Deacons and Billy White Moon certainly taking the fight to the X-Clan and coming up with a pinfall victory over Mad Dog X and the Black Sinister.
Both teams really did kick it up a notch in this one. What I would really like to see, though, is for X-Clan to own up to this loss, without blaming Best of the West for whatever petty reasons they'll invent, instead of looking inward. I dunno. That just annoys me about the X-Clan.
In any case, Best of the West with a terrific win over the X-Clan. And when we return, the Southern Gentlemen, the TV Tag Champions, right up next. Moving on to our next men's division tag team match, the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, in action tonight on Rage, in a non-title matchup against the television tag team champions Matt Clark and Rod Whitley, the Southern Gentlemen.
The next non-title tag team match is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle, from parts unknown at a combined weight of 620 pounds, here are Akam and Razor, the Authors of Pain.
We've seen the AOP in the past, but they're going to be appearing a lot more often from tonight on. And this match against the Southern Gentlemen could be very impactful for Akam and Razor, showing what they can do against the TV tag champs. I don't know, they're 6'2", 6'3", and 620 pounds combined. Even Clark and Whitley aren't going to find this an easy job.
Yeah, but they're not afraid. They've tackled big people in the past.
Both Rod Whitley and Matt Clark have certainly faced bigger and tougher opponents in the past, including Matt Clark, who has dealt with the Mexican monolith Warlord Santos several times.
Exactly, Don. Big don't mean nothing to these guys.
Their opponents, at a combined weight of 535 pounds, from Smithfield, North Carolina, American Supreme Matt Clark, and, from Pembroke, North Carolina, Rod the Bod Whitley, the RWL Television Tag Team Champions, the Southern Gentlemen.
Alright, well, Rod Whitley and Matt Clark coming in hot off successful single title defenses for both. And with the TV tag titles not on the line this evening, there is no pressure as far as the titles are concerned, but Rod and Matt certainly facing a tall order against the authors of pain.
Matt and Rod have heaps of confidence. They're both seasoned veterans and all, but I'm still a touch concerned that the AOP might try making a name for themselves at the expense of Clark and Whitley. They're established opportunists, and we know that from their time in WWE under Paul Ellering. The Southern Gentlemen need to pay full attention in this match.
I think you worried too much, Christy. Matt and Rod can handle themselves.
And it'll be Akam and Matt Clark starting off for this tag team matchup. Referee sounds the bell. They come center ring. Matt Clark immediately taking charge. Snapmare on Akam and immediately going for a quick cover. One. Well, now. Talk about ambitious. Matt Clark whips Akam over the rope onto the apron. Clark rounds him up. Belly-to-belly suplex over the rope from the apron. Wow. American Supreme. Caught up in the front cradle. Slammed down to the canvas by Akam. A stomp to the midsection. Akam rounds Clark up. Clark counters the whip into the corner. American Supreme with a hard right. Countered by Akam. Pushed back into the corner. Turned around. Countered with an elbow from Clark. Akam counters with a right. A kick to the midsection from Clark. A kick that goes nowhere, another kick that goes nowhere. American Supreme with a crucifix, taking Akam down quickly. American Supreme steps out. Here comes his cousin, Rod the Bod Whitley. Whitley moves in. Akam with a Luthez press and a series of right hands to the head of Rod Whitley. Whitley caught with a shoulder claw from Akam. And that is a painful move. Akam slams Whitley's head down to the mat. Gathers him up again. Akam whips him to the AOP corner. Turns him around. Whitley counters with an elbow. Akam counters with a knee. Another Luthez press and another series of hard right hands to the head of Rod Whitley. Whitley right back up again. Sets him up. Whoa! Double arm suplex. And Rod Whitley firmly in the driver's seat, a kick to the midsection to Akam. Once again, oh, there we go, lost the referee again. A DDT on Whitley from Akam. Referee quickly recovering. Here comes Razor on the tag. Rod Whitley waiting for him. Razor has him up. Rib breaker. Whitley laid out on the canvas center ring. Razor rounds him up again. Another front slam to Rod Whitley as Akam rejoins the squad here, taking over for his team. Whitley having some trouble getting to his feet here. Whoa! Choke lift suplex as Akam turns his attention briefly to Matt Clark. Whitley takes down Akam on the outside. The referee counting both men. Rod Whitley resumes his attack on Akam. Gathers him back up. Fails to connect with the dropkick. Another choke lift suplex from Akam. Whitley catches a kick to the midsection. Akam drives him headfirst into the ring post. And down goes Rod Whitley. Whitley shoves him towards the timekeeper's area. Akam back up on his feet. Whitley countered very quickly by Akam. and lifted up into a one-arm spinebuster. Rod Whitley pitched towards the barricades near the far corner, and Whitley looks to be hurt. Acam biding his time. Whitley making his way to his feet. Acam right there. Rolls Whitley right back inside the ring. Acam moves in, dragging Whitley towards center ring. Whitley rolls back up to his feet. And how about this? A quick dragon screw, taking Acam down to the mat. Whitley from behind. Whoa! Release suplex. Belly to back release suplex. Wow. Rod Whitley countered with the spinning punch. A disrespectful slap across the face to Acam and an elbow takes him down. Rod Whitley rounded up by Acam. All the way up and all the way down into a powerful slam as Razor takes over for his team. Rod Whitley laid out near the far corner. Makes his way to his feet. Razor right there. Whitley counters the kick into a belly-to-belly suplex on Razor. Whitley rounds him up. A hard kick to the midsection. Puts Razor against the ropes. Another right. Puts him down on one knee. A clubbing overhand right from Whitley. Rod Whitley caught up in a fireman's carry from Razor. Razor catches an elbow from Whitley. Rod Whitley has him up into a powerbomb near the far corner. Rod the Bod moves in, rounds up Razor again. Sets him up. Whoa! What a suplex. That has some distance on it. Whitley rounds up Razor. Razor whips Whitley to the far corner. Whitley counters with a kick to the face. Goes behind on Razor's side suplex. Takes Razor down to the mat. Rod Whitley firmly in control here. The Southern Gentleman definitely doing some performing this evening. Razor rounded up by Rod Whitley, hung up over the top rope by the stomach, and that is painful. Razor rounded up again. A hard right from Whitley spins him around. He counters with an elbow. A kick to the midsection countered by Whitley into another belly-to-belly suplex center ring. Rod Whitley rounds up Razor. Whips him towards his team's corner, the Southern Gentleman's corner. Here comes American Supreme Matt Clark on the tag. Here comes another double team. Razor whipped to the ropes, a double back body drop as Matt Clark goes for the cover and hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3, and that is all, folks.
Here's the time, 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Your winners, Matt Clark, Rod Whitley, the Southern Gentleman.
They're starting to make a serious believer out of me. The Southern Gentleman, impressing the hell out of me, handling the authors of pain fairly smoothly. It wasn't easy by any stretch, but Rod and Matt made it look like it was easy. The Southern Gentleman could hang on to those belts for some time to come.
If they continue to perform in this manner, they most certainly will. The Southern Gentleman picking up a solid win over AOP. When we return, our main event, Paul Orndorff versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the Mid-Atlantic title. The participants in tonight's main event clashed at Global War, ending in a count-out with Paul Orndorff picking up the win, but no Mid-Atlantic championship from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Tonight, they rematch for the Mid-Atlantic title right here in our main event.
The only thing that's changed in this match is the time and date. Mr. Wonderful, still determined to teach Stone Cold a lesson for taking away the Mid-Atlantic title. He beat the crap out of him at Global War, won by countout, didn't win the belt, but wanted to make a point. He's probably going to try and make the same point tonight, except this time he's probably going to try and get the championship too.
It certainly had to be a hollow victory for Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff to pick up the win by countout, but to still not leave with the RWL Mid-Atlantic Championship. And tonight could be a difference maker for Paul Orndorff. It would be a big deal if he were able to defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin and regain the Mid-Atlantic title.
And while I'm wishing good luck to Mr. Wonderful, you can't ignore that Stone Cold held the Legends World Championship for a year after taking that belt from Wrestling 2. Austin's gonna fight for the Mid-Atlantic, hammer and tongs, especially after losing the Legends World belt so quickly to Rowdy Roddy Piper.
And here is the reigning RWL Mid-Atlantic Championship, the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Austin has a tendency to guard his championships the same way a dragon guards his treasure in a cave. It is true that Stone Cold did hold the Legends World title for a period of a year before the Ultimate Warrior came along and upset his plans. But now that he's got the Mid-Atlantic Championship in hand, he's certainly not going to hand it over to Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
While Austin is heavily favored, I'm not selling Mr. Wonderful short. We saw what he did at Global War. He's determined to do it again. He's going to try and put a hurting on Austin, no matter what.
Tonight's Rage main event is scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit, and it is for the RWL Mid-Atlantic Championship. The challenger, from Orlando, Florida, weighing 246 pounds, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. His opponent, from Victoria, Texas, weighing 238 pounds, the RWL Mid-Atlantic Champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin staring incuriously at Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, the same way a butcher stares at a side of beef before he goes to work.
That's a pretty interesting analogy. I like it.
Orndorff, regarding the title wistfully, knows that he could have it back with one pinfall or one submission. Rough night for referee Walt Rothburn. Let's see if he can get through this one unscathed. Our participants are ready. Walt Rothburn rings the bell. Here we go. Austin misses with a kick. Orndorff catching elbows to the midsection from Stone Cold. Austin countered again by Mr. Wonderful. Orndorff tags him with a hard right, takes him down to the canvas. Austin pushes him away, gets back up on his feet, clubs him with a right. Austin rounds him up, a hard right hand in retaliation, takes down Mr. Wonderful. Austin rebounds off the ropes and boom, there's an elbow right across the chest. Stone Cold makes his way to the top turnbuckle. And here we go. Oh, another driving knee into the chest of Paul Orndorff. Orndorff rounded up again by Austin. Austin with a whip to the ropes and a back body drop for Paul Orndorff. Orndorff rounded up again. Another right. Austin misses with the chop. Mr. Wonderful gonna make him pay for that mistake. Winds him up. Austin counters with an elbow and a right hand, and a second, and a third, and a fourth right hand. A headlock punch. He's got Orndorff in all kinds of trouble, pummeling him with hard rights and double axe handles till he finally goes down on the canvas. The Texas Rattlesnake follows Mr. Wonderful out onto the floor. Orndorff gathered up again, escorted back into the ring by the Texas Rattlesnake. Stone Cold. Whoa, my, flipping the audience the bird, for crying out loud. Well, now, there's an elbow across the chest that didn't connect. Orndorff not at home. There's a crossbody from Mr. Wonderful. Orndorff. A hard right spins Austin around, and he goes behind, and look at this right here. Whoa, Austin quickly countering the atomic drop. Sets up for a gut-wrench suplex, but gets countered into a hip toss by Mr. Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful second-guessing Stone Cold several times here. He winds up the big punch, and boom, there it is. Down goes Stone Cold. A stomp to the back. Mr. Wonderful regaining control of the matchup at this point. Takes himself to the top turnbuckle. Austin laid out center ring. A beautifully executed crossbody with a pin. 1, 2. A near fall, but not enough. Austin getting the shoulder up just in time. Orndorff misses with a stomp. Austin connects with a right. Orndorff connects with a kick. Austin opens up with a series of shots. Catches a hip toss from Mr. Wonderful. Orndorff gathers him up. Stone Cold stops him. Delivers a knee to the midsection. Stone Cold tries for the gut wrench again. Catches another hip toss from Mr. Wonderful. Orndorff surprising Stone Cold here. And didn't even have to take him outside the ring to do it. There's a headlock punch. Goes behind into a rear waist lock. Austin countering with elbows to the midsection. Backs off Mr. Wonderful. Stone Cold nails him with a jawbreaker. Down goes Mr. Wonderful. The Texas Rattlesnake locks in a heel hook stretch on Paul Orndorff. Austin trying to regain control of this matchup. Mr. Wonderful brought back to his feet by the Texas Rattlesnake. A chop, a right. Sets up the gut wrench suplex and certainly nails it that time. And he is going, oh my. Mud hole stomping from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Orndorff back on his feet, charges, locks up with Stone Cold. Austin escorts him to the ropes, places him up against them, sets up Orndorff, back suplex for Mr. Wonderful. Austin charges into a Luthez press, a series of hard right hands to the head of Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Austin apparently done fooling around here. Here it is, the Stone Cold Stunner, and that very well could be the end of this deal right here. Stone Cold escorts a knockout. Mr. Wonderful covers. 1, 2, 3. Stone Cold Steve Austin retains the Mid-Atlantic Championship over Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Here's the time, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Your winner and still Mid-Atlantic Champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Austin came really close to losing the belt tonight. If you were watching as closely as I was, you've seen it. Orndorff was in control for most of that match, and he might have won too, but Stone Cold sensed the danger immediately, switched up tactics, and nailed Orndorff with both the Luthez press and the Stone Cold Stunner. And it was just the 1-2 combo Austin needed to put Orndorff's lights out before he could finish the job on Austin. It's a damn shame, you guys. Now, Austin will stay at the top of the heap, and Orndorff will have to start all over again. Rough night for Mr. Wonderful.
And that puts the cap on tonight's RWL Rage. We thank you all as always for being part of it. We remind you to stick around because coming up next on Saturday, May 17th, RWL Snarl return. For all of us here at RWL Rage, I've been Don Hickson saying thank you, good night, and we will see you next time at ringside. Good night, everybody.